standing right in front of it? I gotta stand to the side. That's always hard for me. Okay. Well, my name is Karen Urbanic. Welcome to today's presentation on the electrical you. I will warn you, if you've not heard me speak, I talk fast. Deal with it. There's so much to say. And we have a lot to go. I didn't even deal with it as in being negative. That was just be patient with it. Okay, that's a better word. Be patient with me. We have a lot to cover. So the electrical you, if you've ever heard me speak, you know that I am a cell fanatic. I love your cells. And everything that we eat, drink, put on our skin, or we expose ourselves to is actually communicating with your cells. And so we're going to talk for a minute about the very basic building block of life, an atom. So an atom is, everything is made of atoms. The chair you're sitting on, the lipstick, your hair, your shirts, everything is made of atoms. And atoms are building blocks in that we have electrons that orbit around the neutrons and protons. And those electrons, as they orbit, are creating an electrical frequency. So every single electron, as it spins, is creating a frequency. And those electrons spin in three-dimensional formation. So they spin around, spin around, spin around. And as those electrons spin, as they start to bond with other electrons, they start building matter. And so our big periodical table, and I threw the periodical table up a couple days ago when we were presenting, the periodical table of elements, every single element has its own electronic signature. That's what the little number is, 6413, right? So we know that each element has an X amount of electrons. Now, electricity is simply the movement of electrons. So my goodness, your clothing is electric. Well, we know that because we watch sparks come off of it when we, are really, really dry, But everything's electric. The apple is electric. Jenna's cowboy hat is electric. Like everything is electric. And so the movement of electrons is electricity. Extremely important to understand that everything gives off a frequency. Every word I speak. So we went out for dinner one time in Eagle River, Wisconsin, and there was this waitress, and she talked like this the entire time. Okay, those frequencies really annoyed like every cell in my body. And then we know how those sexy men go on the radio, and you're like, oh, whatever, honey, So those frequencies move you, they make different parts of your body just quiver. Okay? So every tone, every color has a frequency. So the color of red is a very bonding and sensual and secure color, and that's what balances that root chakra. Secure, green is the color of love and giving and receiving. So, and they used to have temples built with many rooms of color, so you could go into a room of color and you would absorb all the electrons, the frequency coming from that room. So electricity is very, very real. We need to cover that obviously for the next 45 minutes today. So let's talk about my absolute favorite thing in the world, the cell. So the cell has your mitochondria, your lysosomes. Every cell has a respiratory system. Every cell has a division, so it divides. It has a reproductive system. Every single cell has all of the same systems you have. This cell is literally made of thousands of enzymes, countless proteins, and a protein is simply a bunch of amino acids linked together, and so that's all proteins are. We won't talk about proteins today, but I wish I could. Anyhow, so these are full of amino acids. This cell is amazing, and the most important part that we're going to discuss today is the cell receptor sites, the way cool receptor sites. Those cell receptor sites are like antennas. They're like microvilli popping off the end of your cells, and every single one of your cells has thousands, millions, hundreds of these cell receptor sites. Now, how cell receptor sites work, very important to understand when we talk about EMFs. A cell receptor site sticks off a cell, and it looks for something. So, like most of your cells have an aquaporine receptor. That's looking for water. You drink Gatorade, that's not going to work. Okay. At the end of the cell receptor site is like a lock and a key. And that lock and a key, as the little water molecule comes along, boom, it will literally bond with the end of the cell receptor site. So these little tiny ends all have these little keyholes on them. And so if there's a bunch of receptor sites that need magnesium, boom, they're sending out the frequency of magnesium because they need to attract it. I need boron, I need calcium, I need zinc, I need vitamin A, right? Vitamin D3. And so all of these cell receptor sites are working tirelessly to attract what they need so they can reproduce, create energy in the mitochondria, empty their lysosomes. Isn't that amazing? And like you just sit here. Oh my gosh, like your 75 to 100 trillion cells are really busy. Okay, they're like sending signals to the whole body. And how do they send those signals? Electrically. What conducts electricity? Water. So that's why we drink our water, 2 quarts of water by 2 p.m. every day, because we need to conduct electricity. You want to wake up and feel good, you want to have some energy, you have to actually let your bodies speak to each other. Your cells have to communicate. Anyhow, so now the most important part is, thank you, Emily, is that these cell receptor sites are only triggered one of 2 ways. This is important. Every single receptor site is only triggered, so that little bonding action between the keyhole and the key is only by a molecule. Eat the organic apple. That's full of molecules, right? Thousands of constituents in an apple. Or the frequency. That's it. So a frequency of vitamin K will do the same thing as vitamin K. That's why you can keep little baby hearts alive and not have any food for 40 years, okay? There's a lot that goes behind electricity, and that the actual frequency will trigger the receptor sites. So frequencies and molecules, very important as we move forward. Now this next slide is a little overwhelming. Don't be overwhelmed. If you're not really like hip and into frequency, then just close your eyes, or just take a picture and study it, or just look at my book. It's all in the book. But frequency ranges, what is actually running through your body? What are frequencies? So we look at the ultra low frequencies are going to be your 0 to 3 hertz. Now that is where all your canned processed foods fall. There's no life. There's nothing. There's no reason to eat anything out of a can or that's processed, because there's nothing that will trigger your cell receptor sites, except it'll trigger your liver to hide it, because that's what your P450 pathway does in your liver. Extremely low frequencies, 3 hertz to 3 kilohertz. That is where the earth comes in. Your human voice, a very healthy frequency. 85 to 255 hertz is going to be the human voice. Piano music, essential oils up to 320 hertz, which are wonderful for the body. Very low frequencies are your 3 kilohertz to 30 kilohertz. That's your submarine communication. Low frequency, 30 kilohertz to 300 kilohertz. Medium frequency, high frequency, very high frequency. Now, it's really important to us to understand that the higher the frequency we get, the harder it is on our cells. We need to maintain a low frequency. That's where the human body resonates really healthy. But if we look at where radio frequencies come in, we see that right in that radio frequency range is where colds and flus start at that 57 megahertz. Disease starts at 58, candida overgrowth at 55, Epstein-Barr. So we have a lot of illness that comes the higher our overall frequency of different parts. Again, frequency is relative in that you'll have a million frequencies inside of your heart, but then your heart gives off and projects one measurable frequency. So again, this is just for communication purposes, but ultra high frequency, your microwave oven, your cell phones, Bluetooth, GPS, television broadcast, super high frequency. So the more we expose ourselves to these frequencies, the more we will raise our overall frequency, and we will literally start to get sick, which is proven over and over and over again. Now, I will warn you. You will not feel happy for the next few moments, okay? It's okay, hang with me, okay? Don't leave. Here we go. So, I have studied and read books translated from Czechoslovakian, Spanish, from Europe, all over parts of Germany, all over the world, because starting in 1930s, they started realizing electrical impulsing was very dangerous for the people in the military that were exposed to radar frequency. We went from using linear loads to nonlinear load. So Naval Medical Research, and I have the book on this, Institute, shows that these are symptoms of microwave and radio frequency radiation. So when exposed, and this is just some of them, definitely not all of them, when exposed to microwave radiation, which, by the way, is what you're sitting in right now if you haven't turned your earphone. If your telephones, if they're not on airplane mode, are resonating a microwave frequency to everyone around you. So phones on airplane mode, number one thing you want to consider, which we'll get to. So headaches, dizziness, difficulty concentrating, depression, bronchitis, asthma, pneumonia, leg, muscle spasms, etc., epileptic seizures, on and on and on. All of these are actual findings as of 1971. So we can look at the fact that we have known this information. The government has known this information, and they've taken a lot of precautions to help their military be protected from it, but none in America has been taught to you. That is what's so dramatic. I do want you to know, I study this. This is one of my biggest passions as a holistic healthcare practitioner, because we've watched cancer completely disappear. I've watched narcolepsy. I've gotten rid of epilepsy in my own body. I grew up with epilepsy. Ring a bell, fall on the floor, have a seizure, really quite exciting on a date. But anyhow, and so we've watched the bodies heal from, you name it, Crohn's, colitis, diabetes. I don't care what you throw at me, because you're electrical. And if we look at the molecules that are going in the body and the EMFs you're exposing yourself to, and then we use some nice Eastern modalities and techniques, we can see some great changes. Now, another book that we have taken a lot from is Radiation Biology. We know, and this is documented more than once, obviously, several findings show that cancer cells grow 1,632 times, but 1,600 times faster when exposed to Wi-Fi. So the first thing when we talk with anybody, I don't care if it's someone out of state, out of country, when they call and go, Karen, I've got cancer, this is what we're dealing with. The two things, the number one thing is, where's your smart meter, where's your phone, and where's the router? You are now living radiation-free. Like immediately, all Wi-Fi exposure is completely done away with for someone who has cancer, because I know what cells do. And I know that they reproduce 1,600 times faster when exposed to radiation. So we look at that, and number two is going to be, of course, sugar. Eliminating sugar, which is all your grain, from your diet, because as anyone knows, sugar feeds cancer. Well, you might not know that. If you don't know that, grain feeds cancer. Like almost the last place you should go is the Gluten-Free Expo, which is next door, okay, because I am a gluten-free person. I've taught this for decades. However, most gluten-free food is made out of starch. Starch is turned into what? Sugar. All grain turns into sugar, and sugar feeds cancer. Just a side note, cancer cell, any healthy cell in the body, remember those receptor sites, have a set amount of receptor sites for sugar. Well, a cancer cell has 15 times the amount of receptor sites for sugar. So if you can learn anything today, besides what we're going to learn about smart meters and routers and Wi-Fi, I want you to know that sugar feeds cancer, and every doctor in the world knows it. That's why they give you radioactive sugar before you take a PET scan, because they know that the gamma rays are going to interfere with the radioactive sugar, and your cancer cells are going to eat the sugar, so they'll know by scanning your body exactly where the cancer is. So the last thing you do is get out of a PET scan and go eat a hamburger or have a Hershey's Kiss to make you feel better, okay? Sugar feeds cancer 100%, so please go home with that. Now, how do we know that EMFs are dangerous? This is another quote here. Acute biological effects have been established for exposure to extremely low frequencies and magnetic fields in the frequency range up to 100 kilohertz. They may have adverse consequences on health. Therefore, exposure limits are needed. And international guidelines are actually set up to protect you. They're just not followed in America. Okay, I work with so many countries. These countries don't allow children to have cell phones. Many of the countries have only X amount of bandwidth allowed in a building or in the city. So you have to all share. You don't all get your antenna in your bedroom, or there's not 600 antennas in the school. That's not allowed, because that's dangerous, and they know that. So again, just become aware. So let's talk about cell phones briefly. Now, we are going to talk about the negative things, because you need to be aware what's going on when you give your grandkids your cell phone to play with, or little babies sitting around with a little, iPad in their crotch, ruining their sperm and their ovaries. I want you to be aware of this, because beliefs are based on what you know. So when you know something, you might alter your belief one way or another. So the more you know, the more your belief systems will change. I have an alternative motive. And that is to change your belief system about yourselves. I want you to wake up in the morning and go, oh my gosh, I love you. Oh, thank you for waking me up. Thank you, heart. Liver, are you okay today? I am really sorry. I'm going to repent from what I've been giving you, and I'm going to love you. I want you to realize, airplane mode, my favorite mode, right? I want you to actually wake up and realize everything around you is affecting your health. That's my alternative motive, because I want to teach you some things that you may not know, and then your belief system will change. I'm a Mormon, and I wasn't before. I was a Catholic and I was raised in Catholicism. I studied religion in college, read the Quran, loved every minute of it, right? Just thoroughly enjoyed religion, studied all religions. And then I teach a two-day presentation all around the country, and I always stoop everybody. Like on the second day, I announced everybody that I'm a Mormon. And they're like, oh, like the audible gasps are hilarious. Okay, everybody's like, oh. I'm like, no, did your belief system change? And after spending 2 days with me, they're like, yes, you know? And so I want that to happen to you today. I want you to go, whoa, I can change my life. I can affect other people. So let's talk about cell phones. The cell damage from cell phones. Now, I only posted some of my favorite things I want you to get today. There is endless reports on this. I want you, so I'm going to talk about these for a minute. Calcium leaks in cell membranes, releasing digestive enzyme called DNAase. Enzymes end in, most of them, ASE. That's when you know something's an enzyme, amylase, right? Lipase. Now, DNAase, enzymes tear things apart or build things up. Well, the DNAase tears apart your DNA. So when you literally talk on your phone, hi grandma, how are you doing? It's been a long time, right? And you talk while you're cleaning the house. What's happening is you literally have calcium ripping apart at the end of the cells, and you are able to release then DNAase. DNAase is held in the lysosomes, and it literally will be released into your body, and it will help destroy your DNA, period. Like this is research. Another thing, blood-brain barrier is disabled after just minutes. Now, you adults have pretty strong blood-brain barriers. Your children up to the age of 12 do not, and your babies don't even have a blood-brain barrier. You don't put a cell phone near a baby. That's why in many countries you have to be 16 to 18 before you even have a cell phone, because they're that dangerous to blood-brain barriers. Next one, 1 hour on the cell phone will stop apoptosis. Now this, of course, is dangerous. Cells have their own natural death cycle called apoptosis. If you're taking something like capsule T, we use that to cure cancer, and it kills off cancer cells. But if you're on the cell phone, well, what good is that going to do? Or if you're sleeping over a router, or you're in the room with a smart meter on the outside of the wall, because you literally are stopping apoptosis, which is cell death, by staying on that cell phone or being exposed to Wi-Fi. Too much calcium comes into the neurons, releasing too many neurotransmitters. What that really means is if your cell needed, 15 increments of nitrogen, now it might need 45, and you're going to have a reaction. So that too many transmitters are being released, and they proliferate the cell protein receptor sites. And then the cell receptor sites multiply, bringing in too many signals. Okay, so this is another little photo on cell phone health data. I did put this up so you can take a picture. Again, you guys take pictures of anything you want. But very important to understand that we get headaches, we get muscle fatigue, we get genetic damage, interference with pacemakers is huge, melanoma of the eye. If we have time, we'll talk about skin later. Pressure and tingling in the head, memory loss, brain tumors, DNA alteration, which we just talked about, changed brain, electrical activity, cardiovascular stress, eye problems, fatigue, a lot that happens when exposed to cell phones. Now we're going to jump in here and talk about wireless radiation just for a few moments. When I'm talking about wireless, I'm talking about your routers. So those routers that give you that Wi-Fi signal are very dangerous. Now we own 3 buildings in Wisconsin, and at the present moment, 2 in Draper. We're trying to sell the one. If you want a really nice building, so office and residential. See me after class, but and so we have 5 buildings. We don't allow any routers. I have no Wi-Fi. If you come into my building, so sorry, too bad. You are not going to be able to pick up any kind of Wi-Fi signal, but I'll give you a blue cord, and you can put your blue Ethernet cord into my wall and be hooked up into my cable, and then you can have some internet access. We don't allow routers. I never will, because they're so dangerous. Now, we test and scan, and we do a lot of filtering of people's homes all around the country, and when we take our HF35C, which is one of our testing units, it's actually the one they also use for ghost detecting, but anyhow, but we pick up frequencies with it. When Roger just came back from doing someone's home last week, and he went into someone's bed, he could sense the router was close, and he put it on. He was like in the family room, and he zoomed. He knew where it was, and so he walked into the bedroom, and it was just, it was off the chart, and the router, sure enough, wasn't in the bedroom. It was in the basement underneath the bed, right under the bed. These people had been sleeping with a router under their bed for how many years, radiating them all night while they're sleeping. It was horrific, and of course the family was so disturbed because radiation is dangerous. That's why there are dangers associated with radiation. Increased cancer risk, of course. Blood-brain barrier breaks down, cell absorbs less nutrients, adrenal fatigue, headaches, candida, body aches. Interesting to know, candida, which we work with extensively, candida is a yeast overgrowth. It vibrates, this is going to floor you, at the same frequency as like on your computer laptop or on your computer screen as that little clock. At the same frequency as the clock on your computer. So you might be like, clock is the same frequency as candida. Isn't that just crazy? So once you start understanding frequencies, it's just amazing as to how much you'll understand what's happening around you. This isn't to freak you out, because there's a happy part. Okay? Like, there's a happy picture coming up soon. And we can talk about happy things. Okay, now one of my least favorite inventions in the world would, of course, be the smart meter. Smart meters are very dangerous. Smart meters are literally pulsing how much electricity you are using or gas, and now we have smart meters on our water supply. Now this is, of course, the most dangerous, because what conducts electricity? Water. That was really weak. What conducts electricity? Water. Amen! We have electricity. We have smart meters now on our water supply coming in and out of our home. This is extremely dangerous. It was already very dangerous to take a bath, because that's where all your water is in a lot of electricity in your water. But now you've got a smart meter with these super high frequencies pulsating through it. This is dangerous. This is why you need to be aware. You need to go home and call your power company and go, hey, can you please remove my smart meter? And in many cities, they will remove it. They will charge you $20 more a month, because they have to get out of the car, walk over and write the numbers down, or use a zapper to figure out how much electricity you're using every single month. But these need to be removed. If not, there are some shields. They just started coming on the market. We've been testing them to see how well they work, that you can put over your smart meter. We had one woman we were working with. She was 13 years old when I first started working with her, and she had been working with naturopaths for a couple of years. She couldn't walk. Her lymph nodes, her whole body was puffed up completely, and she couldn't walk. She had Lyme's disease. And when we first started working with her, I noticed right away she's just completely electrified. She's being completely electrified by the smart meter, by cell phones, wireless phones in the home. And so we got rid of all the electrical interference in the home. And her father, this guy's so brazen, he actually wrapped his entire smart meter in metal so they couldn't get any readings. After 3 months, the electrical company came out and said, we aren't getting any readings from your home. And he said, yes, because you're killing my daughter. You never asked permission to put this thing on my home. So it's very real. And by the way, I'm happy to report, it's been just about a year now, right, Jenna, that we've been working with her? And I just got a picture. She stood up and went and gave someone a hug the other day. And she came to our last Empowered Weekend a month and a half ago in Wisconsin, and was able to walk out of her wheelchair, over. It was just wonderful to see her advancing so well. So smart meters. I have a cute little picture I found on the EMF safety network. Mr. Smarty Pants, what does a smart meter cause? A lot of fatigue, a lot of ringing in the ears, eye issues, leg cramping, a lot of heart palpitations, because your heart is obviously very electrical, balance problems, learning problems and issues, headache, sleeping issues. This is huge. Now we're going to talk about what to do if you have a smart meter next. So everybody got your picture on that one? Cool. Now is some relief. Here it comes. Are you feeling happy? Okay. We're feeling happy. Whoa! We're going to have some joy now. Here we go. So the 4 favorite words you're ever going to hear: time, distance, shielding, and nutrition. TDS, you might be familiar with time, distance, and shielding. That's because they don't know anything about nutrition when they came up with TDS. So I changed it to nutrition. So this is used in the military, by the way. I always tease with the men. So let's talk about time. Time is how much time are you exposed to dangerous electromagnetic frequencies. So with a cell phone, we're going to break it apart this way. With a cell phone, how long are you on the phone? Very important. So the longer you expose yourself, the more health risks you are going to have. So have a limit. Now I want you, if you don't know, we have 10 children. My oldest is Jenna with the cool cowboy hat. She just took it off for the presentation. And our youngest is 11. So we have 10 children. We've raised children that are really cool. Like, they're not like weird, and isolated. They eat sauerkraut at school and they're really nuts, right? But everyone loves them. They're still cool, even though they have limits on the electrical frequencies they're exposed to. Even though they wear tachyon necklaces, right? Even though they do that's quantum physics, we won't get into that. Even though they do some of these things. So don't be afraid if you've got kids in your home or grandkids and you set a rule. There's boundaries that are there for protection. So the time you allow your children or yourself to be actually on the phone. The routers. Now routers, I highly, highly recommend it. You don't need a router. That's the whole thing. You can have a cell phone, right? Cell phones are great. My kids can throw them on off of airplane mode after school to see if I texted them any information, like I'll be late. They can text me and go, Mom, you forgot to pick me up. I mean, it's all cool, right? I understand that there's a time and a place, but a router, you don't need at all. You can get rid of the router by making one phone call to your cable company and letting them know you want Ethernet into your building. So very important to get rid of routers. But if you just can't, you're going to go home today, none of you are going to run Ethernet cable today. So go home and turn it off when you're sleeping. You don't need to radiate your animals, which are, by the way, your animals and plants are extremely sensitive to Wi-Fi, more so than you are. And that's why I have a whole CD, if you're interested, I didn't bring any here, but on how to get rid of cancer in animals, especially dogs. So routers, turning them off when not using, sleeping and during the day, turning it off if you're not home. You might not be there, but your animals are, and your plants are there, and your food is in the home, and your fruit bowl's on the counter. It's all being radiated, and water conducts electricity, so anything with water is picking up those frequencies. Your smart meters, if you cannot remove them, spend as little amount of time near them as possible. Do not purchase appliances with smart meters. You'll be very surprised to learn that most of the new appliances actually have chips and smart meters in them that send off a frequency all day long. They send off a frequency of how much electricity, how many times you open it during the day. Like they're tracking what you're doing in your own home, and they send that off to, during, depending on it's an application or whatnot, and you don't even know what's in your appliances. Now you might buy it because of it, because you can control it from outside the home, but when we get into that technology, we need to realize there is a cost for it. When we come into a home with our HF35C or our tri-field meter or whatnot, we can pick up these different frequencies, and we literally can tell you if your appliances have a smart meter or not. You'll literally hear them go crazy. You have no idea. You can also ask the manufacturer to remove that chip. So there's a lot of information throughout the website, the web world out there. KarensEMF.com is a website that you can go to. You get to it right from our website. So Karen's Holistic Health is our main website. Some of you might know it as Karen's Energy. But if you go to that main website and click on EMF, you're going to actually go to a friend of mine, share a site. He's brilliant. Sean is amazing. And I work a lot with Sean, our whole family and our whole business does. And he does a lot of education. And he actually shows you a video, for the men at least, unless your women are really into this stuff. But I wouldn't take apart my refrigerator without feeling comfortable. But the man can take apart the refrigerator because they're invincible. So he shows you how to take apart your refrigerator and remove some of these smart meters that are in it. So really a lot of education there. And we'll take questions at the end. Okay, there you go. Next thing, distance. So our distance, we are very, 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 very concerned about having a cell phone on the body when it's on. So they're always on airplane mode. My children know my favorite question is, hey, Juliet, Mom, it's on airplane mode. Rose, Mom, it's on airplane mode. Like if it's going to go in their back pocket, it's going to be on airplane mode. I don't care what you say, it's always on airplane mode. And then they go check it. Even in our home, our cell phones are kept 3 to 4 or 6 feet away from us if I'm in the office. Our office phones are kept away from us, and we have to get up and go answer our phone. But it's because we want those cell phones further away from us. Now, the newer phones, like our iPhones, are really within 3 to 6 feet. That's where the frequency stays. The old phones, the flip phones, are 30 feet they radiate. I mean, it's very dangerous. And so at least with some of the newer technology, it's gotten a little bit safer. But I still wouldn't put that on your body. Cute story. Okay, want to hear the story? Okay, so I'm at Wisconsin at our building, and we ordered this huge printer, and so the Pitney Bowes people came, and there are 2 of these men dressed up in their suits, and I happen to be in the store, and I'm not often in the store, because I just keep busy, and so I walk through, and they're like, are you Karen? I'm like, yeah. They said, do you not have Wi-Fi because of some health thing or something? And I'm going, oh, don't even, okay, Karen, calm down. I'm like, sir, if you had any idea what that cell phone was doing in your left pocket to your sperm count and your ability to have an erection, you might think twice. He stares at me, he's like, and he pulls his phone out and looks at it, and the other guy takes open his coat and he goes, I got mine right here in my left pocket. I'm like, oh, right there over your heart. I said, I'm saying it has everything to do with your cell health. Needless to say, their wives started shopping at our store the next week and started coming to classes, But sometimes we just don't think, oh my gosh, I have my cell phone on in my pocket. That is going to affect any reproductive system in a male or a female, period. And we do a lot with we help people get pregnant, because I'm telling you, infertility is huge, and I have a whole section in a book on that. I speak about that. I've got presentations on that, so please contact us if you have an issue. Smart meters. Okay, so cell phones, keeping them away. Routers, make sure the router is placed in the basement as far away from anybody who's living. So just keep the router as far away as possible, and then turn it off when you can. Smart meters, if you cannot remove them, I'm going to stress that. Make sure no one ever sleeps in a room on the opposite side of a smart meter. Story after story after story about depression, about cancer, can't sleep, libido, all of it. And right on the other side of the wall is a smart meter. It's gotten so I can have a consultation with somebody. In the middle of the consultation, they'll talk about the emotional stress that they're having. And now their son is experiencing suicidal tendencies and blank blank. And one in particular, one that happened recently, the son had moved into the basement, was having suicidal tendencies. He was an Eagle Scout. He was going to go on a mission, all these wonderful things. And now he's like a different kid. And I said, ma'am, where's your smart meter? And she about died. She's just like, oh. It was right on the opposite side of the wall, right by his head. It's inches from his head. Well, of course we're experiencing issues. This is an electrical unit, and your brain is electrical. So please, 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 let's try to avoid that. Amen. Hey, thank you, Jenna. Jenna is my amen woman, okay? She has the whole crowd always going amen. It's kind of fun. You should have been a Baptist woman, okay? You can say it all the time. I love it. It's your inner soul. So keep your distance from other wireless devices. You might not be thinking, the baby monitor, one of the most dangerous things you could ever use in your home is a baby monitor and a cordless phone. Those are very dangerous. The cordless phone signals we can pick up outside your home, and that cordless, when it goes off, run out of the house. Don't answer your phone. Okay, so the minute someone calls you on a cordless phone, run away. Don't answer it, for Pete's sake. Okay, you're going to electrocute your body. That's how dangerous it is. Now, I'm exaggerating. Just unplug it and you'll be fine. but really, we actually just did not recently, but we had done a certain a bishop's home, and he had been gone, but his wife was there and his children were all there. So we went and filtered the whole home, and we're walking through it with the HF35C, and then we, of course, showed him the cordless phone, and the whole family was just freaking out. So we unplugged every one of them, unplugged the base units, and got rid of it. Bishop comes home, he's like, where's my phone? And of course, there's this $13 corded telephone from Walmart, so you got to press the buttons, He's like, how am I supposed to speak in private? Well, I don't know, honey, but that thing is nice. Of course, they all worked it out. Everybody's happy. But it was funny because not until you hear or you watch on the meter, because electricity, do you see electricity right now? Do you see it in your coat? Do you see it in your hair? No, you don't see it. You can't see electricity unless you measure it with certain specific cameras, like at Kirlian photography or whatnot, but you can feel it, and you can measure it with units like we have. By the way, they actually bought the unit, the HF35C, and they now go and test people's homes in their area, so very cool. Bluetooth devices in your car, in your ear, around your thyroid. Recently had a meeting with a doctor, which is a wonderful doctor, and the entire time we were meeting, he had his little Bluetooth things in his ears, and I'm going, oh, okay, and I really enjoy him. He's a naturopathic doctor, and afterwards I'm like, I said, these things, kind of made a motion to pull me out. He says, oh, these? I'm like, yeah, and then he put them around his neck. I'm like, thyroid. I said, thyroid could have a problem here. He's like, oh my gosh, he's like, you're so right, But it's something we don't even think about. So the Bluetooth, make sure that those are avoided. Wireless computer parts, your printers, keyboards, it's easy now to get a new keyboard that just plugs in your computer and a mouse that plugs in the computer. Every single device you have that's Wi-Fi is increasing the cellular disruption. Remember what these are doing. Don't look at this as, oh my gosh, what am I going to do when I go home? Well, I guess you should, because this is affecting your health. But I want you to look at this in a proactive, it's only $11 for a new keyboard and a mouse altogether at Best Buy, and I can plug them in. So I want you to be proactive as you look at these lists, not feeling terrible. We have a couple more to go here. Cordless phones, wireless microphones, and so much more. So really look at what you're using wireless and become more familiar with what's going on. Shielding is going to be a huge thing. So shielding, how do you shield? Now, I am going to be very blunt here, and many of you have spent a lot of money on 100% useless gadgets. I work with David Stetzler. He is world-renowned. He has flown into numerous countries. He works with electrical companies around the world and with the Navy in shielding people from electrical currents. He's marvelous. He's quoted in most books written on electricity or electrical frequencies. Now, when I went to meet with him, I was able to take my staff and a cameraman and have a 7-hour meeting with this man, which was blow my mind. It was so exciting. Of course, I think it's the first time I ever had a salad. I brought lunch. But anyhow, so it was wonderful. And when I walked in, on one of his main desks, he had this pile of all these little gadgets you put on your phone or use for your phone, all this stuff. I said, Dave, what's up with this big pile? He's like, a bunch of, and he swore. And he said, none of that stuff even works. Why do people waste so much money on this stuff? Here, he had tested all of them, and it's true. If you buy something that tells you it's going to protect you from it's going to block EMFs, oh yeah. Doesn't that mean you'll have no reception? Right? So if you put something on the back of your phone and it says it's going to block EMFs, well, that means you won't get a phone call. If it worked, okay, it's not working. Those do not work. Those are not protecting you. You are not safe. That doesn't mean you can put it on your back of your phone and talk on your phone. Trust me, this is measurable. This is measurable. None of that will work unless you put it in an aluminum box, right? Put it in a metal box, then you won't have reception. But you cannot put things on the back of your phone and think it blocks an EMF. It will not. Routers, turn them off. There is no shielding from a router. It's impossible to shield your body from a router. Smart meters, if you cannot remove them, I repeated that, place a metal sheeting behind. And in my book, Jenna, can you grab the page number in the book that I have the shielding, or Emily? There's I think it's like 164 or something. But anyhow, in my book, I've got a picture of what we did with our smart meter in Wisconsin. So we literally shielded the back of the book, the back of the shield. When the smart meter goes onto the wall, we were able to slip aluminum behind the entire thing and create like a 4-foot radius. When we tested with the HF35C on the inside of the home, it was outside of our guest bedroom, we literally dropped the EMFs coming into the home by over 87%. So it was a huge, now if you were to go ahead and take tinfoil, ugly as it might be, I don't care, and put tinfoil on the inside of your house, against that wall, now you're 100% blocked from EMFs coming in from your smart meter. Now, if tinfoil doesn't make you all excited, you can throw tinfoil on your whole wall and hang curtains over it. You can buy metal paint. It's expensive, a heck of a lot more expensive than tinfoil. But you can put metal paint and paint the inside of the wall. You can paint 2 or 3 walls with metal paint. Never paint all 4 because you'll be in a metal box. But what page is it, Emily?
160.
Okay, so page 160 is where you're going to find the picture of our smart meter protection in Wisconsin. But you can paint a metal paint and then paint over it for some pretty color, but that will also help you. And we'll talk about aluminum foil in a few minutes. And then there's a smart meter protector that can go over your smart meter, and we just tested one of them again a couple weeks ago, and it cut down radiation inside the home a really high percent. We're going to test a few more of those, and then on our website and in an email in the next couple weeks, we'll let you know which one we like the most, and then we'll be providing that one. But just go buy one if you don't want to wait. Yes, sir. Oh.
This would be true with most of the older homes then, wouldn't it? Because most of the newer ones have underground cabling, so the meters isn't even in the home anymore.
There's still, no, as far as I know, there's still a lot of smart meters being installed on the outside of the home. But I don't know, in certain subdivisions, you're right, they are being installed inside. And then you just, again, the number one thing you can do when you're building a home, and that's the best time to catch people, is you're working with your contractors and you just tell your electric company, I will not allow a smart meter. I have severe health effects. All of you have severe health effects from your smart meter. None of you are exempt from this. This is very, very important to take action on. So you can use that, and they will not be allowed to put one on your home. So and there's even on our website, karensemf.com, when you go there, there's steps as to how to contact your electrical company or gas company, and the letter's already pre-written. What you need to send to them saying, hey, I'm going to be putting an analog meter. That's what you want, analog meters for $50. You can install it almost yourself, or have an electrical friend come in and do that. Electrical friend. That was funny. An electrician friend. Your electrical friend. Okie dokie. Thank you, Emily. Okay, so we're looking at the different devices that are Wi-Fi, that are literally radiating through the cells of your body. That's a picture of a shield on the bottom. And I'm recommending you avoid all of it. And I will tell you, people come into our health food centers and into our offices, into our wellness centers, and they feel a difference. They walk in all the time and talk about how different they feel. There is no Wi-Fi. Our kilohertz in our home is under 20, which we're probably the lowest kilohertz building in the entire state. I'm positive in the entire state of Utah. Positive. Because we know how to protect and we know how to filter. And then the last is nutrition. Now, grounding the body, that does not mean to meditate. Okay. Oh, meditators, and I love meditators, I meditate, but like they're all into, have you gotten grounded today? No, they're using the wrong word. That's called centered. Grounding is physical. There's something called discharging. And when we work in the electrical world, you have to discharge the body, right? So we can all short circuit. Our houses can short circuit, so they're grounded. That's why outside the electrical box, there's that wonderful copper that goes 6 feet into the ground, and we're grounded, right? We have a grounded building. Well, you have to get grounded. Now, top neurosurgeons in the world who work in neuro, they have their cotton socks on, and they stand on a grounded stainless steel plate for 10 minutes reading their mail before they go into the house and play with their kids. They get grounded. It's called discharging. They know they have to discharge because that many positive ions in the body causes incredible free radical damage. Free radical damage is the same as positive ions, and it's all in my book, but anyhow, so making sure we understand how to ground the body. Now you can ground the body by walking outside with bare feet or cotton or silk or wool. You can go up in the mountains. You can get grounded. However, if you live in a really active city, you have a lot of stray electricity, which we're not even touching on stray electricity. It's another hour presentation, stray electricity and dirty electricity. So by you grounding, you're not grounded. You might get electrical shocks. So you also, and this is going to sound crazy, if you didn't think I was crazy before, you're going to think I'm crazy now. You can stand on tinfoil. Yes, you can, okay? You can literally have bare feet, stand on tinfoil. You can get them wet if you want, and you will discharge into the metal. I'm telling you, it gets rid of headaches that quickly. You're going to feel discharged. Now, you don't use the same metal over and over. You have to rinse it in the sink or put it outside in the snow. Oh, that's Wisconsin. It's probably snowing there right now. But anyhow, or you want to go ahead and put it, on the ground. But you want to discharge your body. Now, I have a friend who's very creative, slightly lazy, and so he decided that he would create a grounding mat, and he took this big piece of cardboard, and so this is the big piece of cardboard, he took and created this perfect oval in the middle of it. Then he covered the entire thing with tinfoil, and he put it around the toilet, so when he was sitting there, he would ground. Only a man could think of that, right? You can get a piece of aluminum, at Home Depot, and you can do that. So again, just interesting. Now we talk about nutrition. Because I'm a whole foodist, I'm a holistic health care practitioner, we heal with food. That's what we do. We use food. We use whole food vitamins. We don't use anything synthetic. I don't use isolates except for one product that has an isolate in it because it's incredible for cancer. But these are foods that will help build the cell receptor sites and help them be resistant or able to change their subtle organizing energy fields quick enough to resist being terribly harmed by electromagnetic frequency. So when you're eating these incredible foods, lots of good omega-3s, et cetera, you are able to help build cells into a strong, healthy state. So when you walk into Best Buy, you're not like fried, okay? You can actually walk out feeling okay. If you are not eating well and you expose yourself to a lot of electromagnetic frequencies, there are dangers that lie in the body. So please eat your vegetables. And remember, you can only get minerals from one place on Earth, and it is the ground. This is the only place you can get a mineral. And to get it out of the ground, you can either lick a rock, which would be dumb, or eat a plant. So the only way to get an essential element for your body, a mineral, is from a plant whose root system went down in the ground, went through biotransmutation, drew the minerals, and converted them into bioavailable minerals to your body. Is the only way. You have to eat your plants. If you don't eat plants, don't whine about being sick. Do not even, because you are 93 to 97% stardust. You're made out of the same exact things as this earth. That is what you're made of. The same elements as the earth. That's who you are. And where'd that come from? Suns bursting, stars bursting. Cool stuff. Okay, so time, distance, shielding, and nutrition. My goodness, how time flies. And we never even covered that. We didn't cover what's happened to the people living in that home. We didn't cover this. We didn't talk about solar heating, did we, and solar electricity, and we didn't talk about dirty electricity. When you plug something in the wall and you create dirty electricity called harmonics, you don't want them. Harmonics is just a nice word. It's a terrible thing to have in your home. And most of you have kilohertz in your home right there next to your bed where you're sleeping that are literally above 40 kilohertz. You'll have them at 800s, 900s, 400s. You can only measure with a centralizer measure, with a GS filter, unit. Anyhow, so now just how fast do you think I possibly can talk? That's what we didn't cover, okay? So, anyhow.
Very high frequency.
Very and you know why I get so passionate about this? The same reason. So the book that I wrote, Live with Outrageous Energy, Thrive Without Fear, Sickness, and Disease, which I didn't even bring a copy to show you, but the girl, we have them at our desk, so here's one here. This book here, thank you for holding that up. This book literally took 8 years to write, and for almost a year, I literally stayed in another building on our property and hardly even saw my family. Like literally, I watched them live their life from a window on the second floor. And I wrote that every single day I prayed. Every day I prayed that I would be able to touch any person who read that would know that I was talking to them. I will promise you that you will find that information there. And this book covers nutrition. It covers how the cells are formed, what happens with minerals. There's mineral charts, vitamin charts, electrical charts, frequency charts. The frequency chart in here, you would love the frequency chart. I also have tarots in the back of the book because I'm like cheesy that way. Anyhow, so there's a tarot in the back of the book that you can put in your refrigerator, but it talks about the highest frequency foods and the lowest frequency foods, and we measure them using angstrom meters. This is research that's been done all around the world using photon meters. And then we also measure emotions, and we found that the people who eat the highest frequency foods, the people who are the people who have the highest emotions, and people who are dealing with feeling betrayed and regret and despair and feeling unworthy and losing all hope, they don't eat well. They're eating low frequency foods. If you want to feel better, it's pretty easy. Number one, drink more water. 2 quarts of water by 2, because your cells they wake up every day going, today's the day I'm going to get healthy. Like, they think positive, okay? Cells don't think, oh, what a crappy day outside, right? No, they're like, all they do is send out frequencies looking for magnesium, boron, zinc, iron, copper, right? They're looking for those things, and if you don't eat them from your vegetables, you're never going to heal. So easy peasy. There's some easy steps to get well. And then there's the bigger steps to how to increase health to where you're vibrant and you have this great vitality. But I can absolutely promise you, we have watched tens of thousands of people's lives change by making these few changes. This is for you to get informed. There's one last slide here, and that is you can become empowered. We sell our books. You're welcome to come by our booth and buy a book and talk to us. But we also set up this 2-day, it's 12 hours of me talking this fast, or you get to sleep in between. So it's a Friday and a Saturday from 10 until 5. We cover the nervous system, the circulatory system, digestive system, the endocrine system. We cover reproductive. We cover all the systems of your body. We cover food. And then we introduce you about 7 to 9 different natural modalities of healing. I teach over 90 modalities of natural healing, from acupuncture, acupressure, to metacupping, to chromotherapy. We cover all of that in our big TNC program, which is where people get certified to do what we do. But for Empowered, it's 2 days, and it's only $99. It was $597 when we started a couple years ago. Then we went down to $197, and a couple months ago, I'm like, Strick, I really want everybody to come to this, please, because once you come and you learn how simple it can be to make a few changes and what the ramifications are, the really great things that happen. So we made it $99. And that's only 2 more times in Utah. And it's going to be next weekend, so Friday and Saturday next weekend. It's right in Sandy, so right here. John, what hotel is it at? Okay, Best Western. And then it's again in Salt Lake in December. And we're still looking for a location. If anybody helps us with that, that would be great. We're still going to know Utah because we're from Wisconsin. But we are looking for locations. We usually have over 100 people there. Anyhow, so if you're interested in those programs, please let us know. How am I for time? Can I take a couple questions? I am? Okay. Am I good? Thank you. Sir. Nice and loud.
Cooking food in a microwave, does that make the food more dangerous?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes. We have this video series that we've been working on, and it's called The Appropriate Uses for Microwaves. And we have like a microwave out there at a farm with pigs eating out of it, and then we have another microwave, in Salt Lake City with beautiful flowers coming out of it. So we have this competition, and we're going to have it, so you'll find it next year. But yeah, microwaves are very dangerous. We definitely don't recommend them. And actually, the people who created microwaves don't use them.
So
course it does.
if you're cooking the food and you're standing there real
In
close
front-
to the microwave watching it, that's-
Yeah, actually, and with our HF35C, we love doing this. We do it every single home that we filter. We turn the microwave on and we look at it. It blows the circuit right over 2,000, and then we put a person in front of the microwave, 6 feet away from the microwave, and then we stand behind the person and we put the HF35C on. Guess where all the radiation went into? The person. Nothing. I pick up nothing because that person, remember what positive ions are looking for negative ions. And so when you're sitting in front of the computer, it's the same thing as in front of a microwave, but the microwave is more dangerous. But that computer is positive ions are looking to ground, and you are the grounding circuit. That microwave is sending out microwave radiation. It's not blocked in the door. Gracious me. And so it comes into the next thing it can ground in, which would be you standing in front of the microwave. So please go home and put your pots and pans in it and don't use it. Yes, there was a question in the back, lady?
Well, I was going to make a comment. I know a lady who is friends with the widow of the person who invented the microwave.
Mm-hmm.
And she said the widow would not have one in her home.
Yeah.
And she felt it killed her husband early. For sure. He was the one who invented it.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. Same thing with Teflon. Do not use Teflon pans. There's a reason they don't use them in other countries. Yes, ma'am.
When you're driving in your car and if you were listening to something over the speaker from your phone, like conference
Yes, that's
calls,
Bluetooth.
Oh, so that's pretty dangerous in your car.
It is. So instead, just up the units you can have on your phone and download it, and then listen to it from your phone. So you can download it so it's physically on. Like my scriptures are on my phone, so I can go in the sauna, I can ride my bike, and I've got the scriptures, or conference talks actually physically on my phone, and then I can erase it so it doesn't take up too much room if I need not my scriptures. But the conference talks have a terrible in it, and then what would John do without me? I love him. I'm his biggest fan, And then you can go ahead and download another set, or get a CD player. Remember those days, right? Yes, ma'am.
How about radios?
Radio frequency is a frequency that's hard on the body, but radio it's a great way to communicate. So
Like
again,
in
it's
the
distance,
car.
and it's much
What about in
safer.
the car, a radio in the car.
Radio in the car, again, it's fine. You're going to ground, eat your good foods. The radio alone is what the radio, when combined with all the higher frequencies. That's right. Remember that frequency chart that shows you. And now that you know a bit more, I'm going to head back to that, by the way. Is that okay? I know I just took it off that time.
So what does airplane mode do?
Airplane mode turns off all the data. Like no one can reach you. So once you're on airplane mode, you cannot receive calls or send texts. But that's okay, because you can just turn it on and check it every hour if you need to, every half an hour. My children are very good at keeping things on airplane mode because I can never get a hold of anybody. But eventually they check their phone and they know, oh, Mom's been trying to call, right? I'm going to get back to that.
On airplane mode, you can still use your maps, you can still listen to music, you can do
still
almost
take
everything.
pictures.
You can still take pictures,
time,
exactly.
everything. So if you're with your family, you don't need to have the phone. You can
What
on
if your
airplane mode the whole
phone
time.
is critical to your business and you have to have it on?
Right, and that's it. Just don't use Bluetooth with it. Put it on speakerphone, send text messages, and I realize a lot of phones are critical to business.
And keep it an arm length away.
And keep it an arm length away as much as you can. And then you know what you can do? Put tinfoil under your desk so when you're working on your laptop, it's not radiating down. Now you just take a lot more precautions to protect you from some of the frequency. The lady in the back, thank you.
You spoke of tin foil. That's different than aluminum foil, yes?
No, aluminum foil, both of them will work just fine. They're just, it's an elemental distinguishing feature. You bet, ma'am.
So if you use earphones instead of talking with it right here,
Earphones,
is
they
that
should be wood earphones. We do sell those on our website, but you can look anywhere. So I would do wood phones. If you're doing air tubes, you need to make sure that there's no metal at the bottom of the air tube. So the wood ones that we've always used and my children use are ones that were developed by a band, actually, some really great musicians. Oh, I'm going wrong.